10 stocks Warren Buffett just bought and sold. As Buffett's leadership nears its end, Berkshire will likely continue its influential role in the market. What stocks has Warren Buffett bought and sold lately? Each quarter, all fund managers with at least $100 million in assets must publicly disclose their stock holdings to the U.S. Securities and Exchange Commission via Form 13F, giving investors a rare peek behind the curtain of some of the world's largest and most successful hedge funds. One of the most anticipated quarterly filings comes from Buffett and his $1.1 trillion company, Berkshire Hathaway Inc., ticker BRKA, BRKB. Buffett's announcement earlier this month that he will step down from Berkshire at the end of the year marks the end of an era, but he has assured investors that the company is in good hands. Here's a look at 10 changes the Oracle of Omaha made to Berkshire's portfolio in the first quarter. Sold. Bank of America Corp., BAC. Beginning in August 2024, Berkshire made a series of filings disclosing sales of Bank of America stock. In the first quarter, Berkshire sold an additional 48.6 million shares, reducing its stake by another 7.1%. As of the end of March, Berkshire still holds about 631.5 million shares of BAC stock, worth about $28.3 billion. Buffett first invested in Bank of America back in 2011 during the European debt crisis, but he has exited or dialed back exposure to several bank stocks in recent years. Bank of America is now Berkshire's fourth largest holding. Bought. Constellation Brands Inc., STZ. Constellation Brands produces, markets, and distributes beer, wine, and spirits. Most quarters, Buffett takes at least one or two surprising new stakes. However, he publicly disclosed no new stock holdings in the first quarter, and Constellation was his only new purchase in the fourth quarter. Trading at just a 14.9 forward earnings multiple, Constellation appears to be a classic Buffett value investment. In the first quarter, Berkshire bought 6.3 million shares of Constellation Brands stock, more than doubling its stake. The company now holds about 12 million shares of STZ stock, worth about $2.3 billion. Sold. Citigroup Inc., C. Buffett's first quarter bank stock selling spree wasn't limited to Bank of America. Berkshire sold about 14.6 million shares of Citigroup, completely exiting its position. Berkshire also sold about 40.6 million shares of Citigroup in the fourth quarter of 2024, reducing its position by 73.5%. Given how aggressively Buffett had been dumping the stock in late 2024, it wasn't surprising to see Berkshire sell the remainder of its shares in the first quarter. Buffett first invested in Citigroup in the first quarter of 2022, and the stock is up about 41% since then. Sold. New Holdings Ltd., NU. Brazilian digital bank Nubank completed its initial public offering in December 2021, but Berkshire first invested $500 million in the company as part of a private fundraising round in June 2021. Buffett has historically been leery of investing in IPOs, but Berkshire reportedly bought nearly 30 million shares of NU during its IPO. More than 3 years later, NU stock is trading about 44% above its IPO price of $9 per share. After selling more than half its NU stake in the fourth quarter of 2024, Berkshire sold all of its remaining 41.1 million shares in the first quarter. Sold. Liberty Media Formula One Series FWNOK. Formula One Group is a subsidiary of billionaire businessman John Malone's Liberty Media Corp. And is one of several Berkshire investments tied to Malone. Liberty Formula One is a tracking stock for Liberty Media's Formula One Group assets, which include Formula One, F1 Arcade, LV Diamond Property I, LLC, Meyer Shank Racing, and Quint Events, LLC. In the first quarter, Berkshire sold about 3.2 million shares of FWNOK stock, reducing its position by 48.3%. As of the end of the quarter, Berkshire still owns about 3.5 million shares of Liberty Formula One, worth about $338 million. Bought. Pool Corp. POOL. Swimming pool and backyard equipment company Pool was a new holding for Berkshire back in the third quarter of 2024, and Buffett added to his position in the first quarter. Buffett has always appreciated consistent, long-term performance, and Pool has been one of the best-performing stocks in the entire market over the past 30 years. Berkshire purchased another 865,311 shares of POOL stock in the first quarter, increasing its stake by 144.5%. As of the end of March, Berkshire held more than 1.4 million shares of Pool stock, worth roughly $467 million. Pool stock is off to a strong start to 2025, gaining 17.9% year-to-date. Sold. DaVita Inc. DVA. DaVita is a medical care services company that specializes in kidney dialysis services, pharmacy services, and other disease management services. Buffett first invested in DaVita back in 2011. In February filings that were separate from its 13F, Berkshire disclosed the sale of 953,911 shares of DaVita stock as part of a share repurchase agreement in which DaVita agreed to buy back shares of stock to reduce Berkshire's ownership stake to 45%. That selling has since continued, bringing Berkshire's stake down to about 34 million shares, worth roughly $4.8 billion. Bought. Domino's Pizza Inc. DPZ. Domino's Pizza is the world's largest pizza company, operating in more than 90 international markets that are serviced by about 21,300 Domino's stores. Buffett took a new stake in Domino's in the third quarter of 2024, and he continued building his position in the first quarter. Berkshire purchased another 238,613 shares of DPZ stock, increasing its stake by 10%. As of the end of March, Berkshire held about 2.6 million shares of Domino stock, worth roughly $1.3 billion. Domino stock is off to a strong start to 2025, gaining 17.9% year-to-date. Sold. T-Mobile US Inc. TMUS. In the first quarter, Buffett cut his stake in U.S. wireless provider T-Mobile. Berkshire sold 466,885 shares, reducing his total stake size by 10.7%. Buffett first invested in T-Mobile back in the third quarter of 2020. The stock has performed extremely well in the past 3 years, generating a 98% total return. Berkshire still holds about 3.8 million shares of T-Mobile, worth about $950 million. It wouldn't be surprising to see Buffett continue to sell shares of T-Mobile in 2025, but reducing Berkshire's stake by just 10.7% is far from a fire sale. Sold. Capital One Financial Corp. COF. Capital One Financial is a diversified financial services holding company that provides consumer and commercial banking products and is one of the largest credit card issuers. Buffett also holds large stakes in Visa I, MasterCard MA, and American Express AXP. But he reduced his stake in Capital One by 4% in the first quarter. Berkshire first bought Capital One shares in the first quarter of 2023, and Capital One's total return has roughly doubled the S&P 500's since the beginning of 2023. Berkshire still owns 7.1 million shares of COF stock, worth about $1.4 billion.